Let's go Dolphins! What's happening behind the scenes right now could completely change the future of the franchise. This isn't just a rumor, it's not an overreaction from the fans, and it's definitely not another bad loss being forgotten. There are powerful voices within the NFL sending mixed signals, there are uncomfortable truths emerging from the numbers, and there's a growing tension between patience and urgency that could explode at any moment. Dolphins fans, this is one of those moments where the team's future is at stake, and what happens next could define the next 5 to 10 years in Miami. But before I explain exactly why the pressure is mounting and why this situation is much more serious than it seems, I need you to do something. Make sure to like this post right now if you're a true Miami Dolphins fan, the kind of fan who has experienced highs and lows, disappointments, and still believes this team can reach the Super Bowl. And since you're here, leave a comment saying, "Go Dolphins!" My heart bleeds aqua and orange, because I want to know who's really rooting for this franchise. Let's get straight to the point. Over the last few days, 3 of the biggest names in NFL reporting have delivered very different messages about Mike McDaniel's job security. Ian Rappaport went on NFL Game Day morning and stated that, barring some kind of surprise, Mike McDaniel is expected to return next season. According to Rappaport, McDaniel still has the support of owner Stephen Ross. They already extended him before the 2024 season, and the organization genuinely wants him to succeed. This is not a new stance from Rappaport. He has consistently pumped the brakes on the Fire McDaniel narrative all season long, even when the Dolphins started 0-3 and then slid to 1-6. His reporting has always suggested patience, long-term belief, and trust from ownership. But here's where things get complicated, and honestly, where things get uncomfortable. Adam Schefter went on the Pat McAfee show after the blowout loss to Cincinnati and directly pushed back on that idea. Schefter made it clear that, despite what some people are saying, no final decision has been made. Nothing is locked in. Everything is still on the table. And that matters, because Schefter is widely viewed as being more plugged into front offices and ownership circles than almost anyone else in the league. Then you have Tom Pelissero, who often reports in lockstep with Rappaport, also stating that Dolphins ownership has not made a final decision on McDaniel's future. That alone should tell you something. When multiple top insiders are publicly disagreeing or hedging, it usually means there is real debate happening behind closed doors. And Dolphins fans, this debate is not happening in a vacuum. It's happening after another embarrassing performance, another second-half collapse, and another game where Miami looked completely unprepared once adjustments were required. The numbers are brutal. The Dolphins are the worst third-quarter team in the NFL. They are near the bottom of the league in second-half point differential. They are the least productive scoring team in the third quarter, and these issues are not new. They have followed Mike McDaniel throughout his tenure. When the Dolphins trail at halftime under McDaniel, the record is 4-23. That is not a small sample. That is a clear pattern. It suggests a coaching staff that struggles to adjust, struggles to respond, and struggles to flip momentum when things don't go perfectly according to plan. Without Tua Tagovailoa, McDaniel's record is 3-10, and while many fans want to blame backup quarterbacks, roster construction and contingency planning ultimately fall on the head coach as well. Even in areas like replay challenges, the Dolphins are near the bottom. A 4-21 record on challenges is not bad luck, it's poor decision-making. And when you zoom out even further, the overall trajectory becomes hard to ignore. The Dolphins peaked at 11 wins, dropped to 8, and are now staring at a season that could end with 6 or 7 wins. That is not progress. That is regression. And this is exactly where the conversation turns from uncomfortable to unavoidable, because when you dig deeper into the evidence, it becomes clear why the pressure around Mike McDaniel isn't just fan frustration. It's rooted in real, measurable failures that continue to repeat themselves year after year. Let's talk about the second half problem, because this is the issue that keeps resurfacing no matter who the opponent is. The Dolphins are not just bad in the third quarter, they are historically bad this season. Entering the Bengals game, Miami ranked 30th in second-half point differential, and after getting outscored by 21 points in that game alone, the numbers only got worse. They've been outgained by more than 800 yards in third quarters across the season, and they've scored just 27 total points in the third quarter. That is last in the NFL. Dead last. There's no spinning that. And before anyone says this is just about players coming out flat, the reality is that when a team consistently collapses after halftime, that responsibility lands on the coaching staff. Halftime adjustments are not about screaming and emotion. They're about diagnosis, planning, and execution. Whatever is happening in those locker rooms, it's clearly not working, and it hasn't worked for multiple seasons now under McDaniel. Now look at the bigger picture. When the Dolphins trail at halftime under Mike McDaniel, they are 4-23. That stat alone should stop every argument in its tracks. Whether it's a 3-point deficit or a 10-point hole, this team has shown almost no ability to fight back. That is not the profile of a Super Bowl caliber head coach. That is the profile of a coach who can win when everything goes right, but struggles the moment adversity hits. And then there's the quarterback conversation, which is impossible to separate from this debate. Without Tua Tagovailoa, McDaniel's record sits at 3-10. Fans can list backup quarterbacks all day long, but roster depth and system compatibility fall on coaching philosophy. If your offense collapses the moment your starter goes down, that is a structural flaw, not bad luck. McDaniel had a voice in roster construction, had a voice in quarterback decisions, and signed off on major contracts. Accountability cannot stop at the sidelines. Even small details reveal big problems. Mike McDaniel is 4-21 on replay challenges. That's not unlucky. That's poor situational awareness. Those are wasted timeouts, lost momentum swings, and missed opportunities that add up over the course of a season. Winning teams dominate the margins. Miami consistently loses them. And here's the part Dolphins fans need to hear, even if it's painful. This franchise is trending toward mediocrity again. McDaniel's career record tells the story clearly. Against teams with a winning record, he's 4-16. Against teams at .500 or worse, he's 30-16. That's not a coincidence. That's a coach who beats bad teams and gets exposed by good ones. If your goal is 7-9 wins every year and maybe sneaking into the playoffs, that's acceptable. But if the goal is championships, it's simply not enough. This is why some fans are now calling for a full reset. If you're firing executives, benching quarterbacks, and reshaping the roster, why stop at the head coach? A clean slate means bringing in a new general manager and allowing that person to hire their own head coach, aligned in vision and philosophy. Yes, there will be dead cap. Yes, it will hurt in the short term. But the Dolphins have been stuck in this cycle for 25 years, and half measures haven't worked. There are already names being discussed internally and around the league. Defensive-minded coaches, veteran leaders, even familiar faces who have history with the organization. Ownership, led by Stephen Ross, will have to decide whether stability is more important than results. And Mike McDaniel, for all his creativity and personality, has yet to prove he can elevate this team when it matters most. This isn't about emotion. This isn't about overreacting to one bad loss. This is about patterns, trends, and evidence that continues to stack against Mike McDaniel. The final 2 games of the season may not officially decide his fate, but they could absolutely shape how ownership views the future. So now I want to hear from you. Do you believe the Dolphins should move on and start fresh? Or do you think Mike McDaniel deserves more time to prove he can fix these issues? Drop your opinion in the comments, and let's have the real conversation. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure you're subscribed, hit that like button, and keep your eyes on the screen for the next video, because we're covering every move this franchise makes, step by step. And as we bring this conversation to a close, Dolphins fans, this is where everything truly comes together, because this situation is no longer just about one coach, one season, or one disappointing loss. It's about identity, standards, and whether this franchise is finally ready to stop settling for being almost good enough. The Miami Dolphins have talent. That part is not debatable. They have invested heavily in star players, speed, scheme, and offensive innovation. But talent without direction, accountability, and adaptability only takes you so far. What we are seeing now is the result of years of trying to patch holes instead of addressing the foundation. And that's why the spotlight is so intensely focused on Mike McDaniel at this exact moment. Inside the building, the message is no longer as simple as trust the process. When the same issues resurface year after year, poor second halves, lack of adjustments, inability to beat quality opponents, and mental lapses in key moments, patience starts to erode. Ownership can talk about continuity all they want, but the NFL is a results-driven league, and windows close faster than most teams are willing to admit. This is why the mixed messages from league insiders matter so much. On one hand, you have reports suggesting stability, belief, and internal support. On the other, you have clear signals that nothing is guaranteed, that decisions are still being evaluated, and that recent performances have forced serious internal discussions. When those two realities collide, it usually means the organization is at a crossroads. The Dolphins are staring at a defining choice. Stay the course, hope internal fixes magically solve systemic problems, and risk wasting prime years of key players. Or take the painful route, reset leadership, absorb short-term consequences.